expecting this. I told you I was gonna do a witchy book list, so I thought I would dress the part. We're actually gonna do a photo shoot, a friend of mine and I, tonight, so I'm dressed up for our witchy themed photo shoot. It'll be a lot of fun, but I thought while I'm already dressed like this, I might as well share some of the witchy themed books that I talked about. So I thought I would start with these children's books first, because they're just so much fun to read. And number one on that list for witchy children's books is, of course, Kiki's Delivery Service. Now, I loved Hayao Miyazaki's Now, I love Miyazaki's Kiki's Delivery Service. This movie came out when I was a kid. It was a lot of fun, and at the time, I didn't know there was a book. When I was a kid, I didn't realize that most of the movies that I enjoy were from books first. Now that I do, I always look for the book. And so Kiki's Delivery Service, at the top of that list for kids' spooky Halloween reads for witchcraft. And then I also have another 90s classic here, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. This is a really fun paperback series. This is the first one in the series. You can find them on Etsy or different used bookshops, especially online bookshops. So all you have to do is, if you go into Google Shopping, type in Sabrina the Teenage Witch novelization, and you'll get a whole bunch of the series. So this is the first one. It's really adorable. I loved this show as a kid. Melissa Joan Hart is wonderful as Sabrina. It's just a lot of fun. And then, of course, another one that I loved was Hocus Pocus. Oh, my childhood. I couldn't believe that this movie wasn't very popular when it came out. It is everywhere now, thankfully. It's well deserved. It's fantastic. So I have the Hocus Pocus book here, as well as the all-new sequel is in here as well. So a lot of fun. Now, most of my witchy reads are contemporary romance novels. I love contemporary romance. I love rom-coms. I love that cottagecore witchy vibe. So a lot of them are on the list, but I have some that are not. So I wanted to share those with you first, starting with a mystery. This is now a series. This is the first in the series. It's In the Company of Witches by R.L.E. Wallace. It takes place in New England in an old inn with witches. There's a murder mystery to solve. It's cozy witchcraft vibes, but it is a mystery, so it's a lot of fun. So I'm putting that one up here on the top of my list. And then, of course, you can't share witchcraft books without first sharing Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. So this one's not a romance. It is a fiction. It is a very popular one. A lot of people who love the movie don't love the book, I've heard. I like the way the book is written. It is more slower paced. It's not the same as the movie, but I feel like it's really worth a read. And I heard that Alice Hoffman's newest book is one of her best, so you might want to check it out. There's a whole series where these came from, all about witches and witchcraft. And then I have a young adult novel on here as well. It's called Spells for Lost Things by Jenna Evans Welch. She wrote Love and Gelato, which was made into a Netflix movie. I picked this up because it just felt like, you know, it's about a girl that doesn't belong, and she's in high school, and, you know, I feel like a lot of us that read these kind of books have felt that way at some point, so I thought I'd go venture forth into my teenage psyche a little bit. I wish this book came out when I was a teenager, but here we have it, and it has the most adorable cover. I love the light purple. Fun read. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to give you all of the witchy romance reads. The first book, though, I do want to mention, it's an honorable mention. I don't have it with me because it's in the car. I left it in the car, but you'll see it in this video. It's the Cider Mill Coven. That's a fiction book. It's not a romance, but it's by a local Connecticut author, and Vanessa Lambert, and she's just so much fun, so I highly recommend it. The Cider Mill Coven is my book club's book of the month. I highly recommend, if you want to join us, go ahead and read it. We could talk about it in the comments below. I would love to have a book chat with anyone at any time about any book, so go right ahead. And then so without further ado, I bring you the contemporary romance. These are 4 new ones of mine from this autumn season that are on my list. I haven't read any of them yet. So I can't tell you which ones are good, which ones aren't, but I will tell you they all sound really good. I would not have bought them otherwise. I'm very picky with what books I buy because if I read a book, I want it to just be on my shelf for a while. I don't want to just read it and get rid of it. I usually use my library a lot, so if I buy a book, it's because it sounds like one that's going to be a keeper. So I have The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic by Brianne Randall. This one is next on our book club. So it says for fans of practical magic and Gilmore Girls. And it's about, oh goodness. I also have next on my list The Witch of Wild Things. So it says a perfect mix of magical realism and swoony romance. So this one sounded like it had all the cottagecore witchy vibes, my Green Witch fans. This one is for you. Again, it's about a witch whose sister sadly passes away. She's reluctant to return to her hometown, but she does go back and yeah, so it's about, I guess it's supposed to be like, it takes place, I'm so messing this up. Let's begin again. So The Witch of Wild Things, I picked this one up because I thought it felt like a cottagecore witchy book. So my Green Witches, you'll like this. It's about botany. It's about this woman. She is a witch and she returns to her hometown after her sister passes away. And there's all sorts of spooky vibes in here, but it has that cottagecore feel, maybe a little bit dark academia, but The Witch of Wild Things. And it has she's also a botanist, so there's that. And then I also have A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon by Sarah Hawley. This one was not originally on my list, but it's about a woman that she's a witch and she summons a demon by mistake. And he can't leave until she gets a soul, or she gives up her soul for him to make, I guess, some sort of wager, but obviously she doesn't want to give up her soul, so they're kind of at a standstill. So she accidentally summons this demon, and that doesn't sound like something I normally read, but it was in a magazine where someone talked about this book, and she said they have this for such a toxic situation. It's actually about a beautiful friendship and romance that forms, a very healthy relationship that forms out of this witch summoning this demon. And so I used to read witch and demon books when I was a teenager, have not picked one up since, so maybe it's time I return to the genre. And then the last new one I have on my list is The Witch is Back by Sophie Morgan. And it's so cute. It just looks really sweet. It's about a woman who's a wallflower. She doesn't quite fit in. She leaves town and then I think she comes back. So again, I haven't read these books, so I don't know what they're all about. We'll see. Alrighty. This one's quite the stack. These are the books I bought previously. I started reading them and then last fall got too crazy busy for me. So I'm gonna try reading some of them this year. If not, I'm gonna have a lot of fun reading witchy books all season long, all next season. It's gonna be a thing. But I have quite the stack and I don't normally buy this many books, but I'm just really obsessed with this genre right now. Goodness. So I have The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sengu Mandana, sorry. The sequel just came out for this book. It's on pre-order, so I can't wait to check that one out as well. I've heard this is most people's top witchy read. It's romantic. It's this woman, let's see. It says, a warm and uplifting novel about an isolated witch whose opportunity to embrace a quirky new family and a new love changes the course of her life. I'm not going to bore you by reading the backs of all these books, but I've heard this is the number one. I also have The X-Hex, perhaps one of the books that started it all with this genre. by Aaron Sterling. And here's the other one, The Kiss Curse, also by Aaron Sterling. I've heard these are really good books. Witchy reads. This one is Small Town Big Magic. It's witches, it's friendship. It gives you all those small town Gilmore Girl-esque vibes. I've heard this one's also a really amazing read. I can't wait to read it. She's a earthy witch. Let's see. But also the sequel for this just came out. And I read the back of it and I wasn't interested at all. Maybe it's amazing. Tell me if it is. But it just didn't sound as good as this one did, so I didn't bother picking it up. You know, you don't have to read every sequel. I also have Go Hex Yourself by Jessica Clare. There's quite a few more in this series. So I am a big fan of Jessica Clare. She is an amazing romance writer. I enjoy a lot of her books. She dabbles in all different types of genres with romance. So I thought this one would be worth a try. I also have Cackle by Rachel Harrison. And this one too is supposed to have those small town vibes. It's a dark novel about a young woman who meets a witch and they become friends. So I don't actually know if this one's a romance. It might just be fiction, but it sounds really good. And then this one is Witch Please by Anne Aguirre. And there are quite a few more in this. These are like the positive, bubbly, happy, cottagecore-esque witches. She's a baker. He's a baker. She fixes things with her magic, but people don't know it. So she's like a handy witch, which I think is really fun. And it's first-person narrative, but it's just very light-hearted, and there's more in the series that all seem also very light-hearted and fun. But anyway, those are all the witchy reads. I know there's a lot, so I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. I can't wait to share more witchy reads with you in the future, and if you have a few of your favorite that I missed, drop it in the comments below. Thanks so much for being here.